Good day, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all over the world. Today we are struggling. Yes, I had this set up on the mast, and I was going to wrap this here bearing around the mast pole. So I had one tail and one loop on each side. And the knot came apart on one of the beads out here on the end. And I dropped one on the floor, and then the next thing I know, it's okay. Let's see if we can tie it anyway. Ended up another knot broke, and I said, all right, let's bring it over to the bench and see if we can tie some leads on to the beads and salvage it. And the more I worked on it, the worse it got. So we're going to strip this and start all over again from scratch and try to get a more organized wrap on this assembly before we mount it to the yard arm. Each one of these beads on the outside had a knot to keep the rope from getting slack. And then I had a little loop out there so I could bring the other side around and pull through the loop and then be able to adjust the tension of it before I tied it off. But one disaster after another in this trying to salvage it just made it worse. So I'm going to have to strip it down to all its individual parts. I got a few extra beads in the box. We'll redo it completely because it's not going to work the way I've got it. So I'm backing up and punting before I can mount this lower yard and sail on the forward mast. And it got rather discouraging because I've already been on this little project for half an hour, and then it got to a point where it just looks terrible no matter what I do to try to salvage it. Made it worse. So we are gonna totally strip this down and start over from scratch. I had little bits of glue here and there on the knots, and it looked pretty good when I started, but when I went to mount it on the ship, it was a little short pulling to one side where I had it tied off on the yard. So I brought the yard back over here and thinking I could extend it, and that's where I screwed up. I should have just left it like it was, but then it wouldn't have looked right because it would have been all on one side instead of on the back of the mast. So we'll get these beads all cut loose from their knots. And do it all over again, which is going to take a little while because this is very tedious work. We're starting over from scratch. Lovely. Yeah, we did it. So that's the bearing in there. Looks fairly neat. We got the main hanging rope tied off with the big rope knot. I still got to do the lifting ropes. But the lower yard arm and sail is permanently on the ship in the foremast. So that took about an hour and a half. Time I rethreaded all that and got her up there in position. Trying to get where I can see there. Well, we got 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and a crisscross holding that bearing in place. Man, oh man, that was tight. I did have to cut this one running rigging line from this sail here because it was going back to a baling pin on the back side. So I'm about to restring it, tie it off here in the front so it's not in the way of the sail. But that's one line that had to get moved. But we're got that baby on there. So now we gotta land all these running riggings. There's a big pile of 8 of them back there with a clip. And now's the time to decide whether or not we want to furl this sail up like we did on the main mast. Just so we got a better view of everything on the ship. This is the side where the cutaway is, so we want to be able to see over there. So I think I am going to furl this up as we tie off all those 8 lines, just to make it look more concentric to this one. But that one almost whooped me. And this week is Thanksgiving. In fact, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So I got other stuff to do. I've been putting up lights in the yard, getting ready for Christmas. We usually have our lights done the Friday after Thanksgiving. I got a little head start this year because I'm retired, so why not? So when it gets dark out tonight, or just as it's dusk before it gets dark, I'll try to run this camera around so you can see my handiwork. The sun has just gone down. There's still a little bit of light in the sky. I wanted to show this is inside the greenhouse. And then the front of the man cave and she shed. We got 2 trees there. One of them's in storage right now because I got to work on the lights on it. It'll get it'll get set over there in front of that shed. I didn't do any lights in the treehouse this year because I had a big star up there, and the stinking squirrels kept chewing my wires in half. I fixed it twice and I said, that's it, I'm moving it somewhere else where they're not going to get into it. We got some lighting on the porch. So we did some under counter lighting. That's been permanent, but the ambiance and the Christmas wreath is fairly recent. And then we wrapped the columns like a candy cane. I got motion detectors everywhere, so when you come out from the kitchen, that motion detector turns on these rope lights in the porch so you can see, and that stays on for like 5 minutes. But have another one up here. If I walk over that way where the car comes in, it'll set them off, and then there's another one around the front door. So we're going to walk around this side. Hopefully we won't trigger them, so we can get a shot of the neighbors. Got some Christmas stuff up already, but we got a spotlight on the palm tree there. We got our columns wrapped with the candy cane garland, and we got 3 little Christmas trees under the kitchen window. And of course my wife has got the tree up in the living room. And then there's the star that was hanging on the opening in the tree house. It was up there sort of right where that window's at, and the squirrels were just tearing that thing to pieces. So I repaired it and moved it out here. Yeah, it looks better in the front anyway, so. But that's our ready for Christmas lighting done. Happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. And I'm not the only one that's getting ahead of the game. Thanks for watching. Ho, ho, ho. So what are we getting for Christmas this year? Well, we have purchased the next model from Artesia Latina. It will be in shipping. Probably get it before Christmas. We might feature a box opening next week in our video. And I'm going to leave a little photograph of the next model, which is going to be quite a bit bigger than this one. And I think Mufasa said it's got 120 cannons. I'm not sure about all the specs yet, but I know it's big and it's got a lot of cannons. So Merry Christmas.